We're here today to receive testimony on the posture of the National Guard Bureau and Reserve components. Thanks, all of you witnesses, for being here. General Nordhaus, Chief of the National Guard Bureau, Lieutenant General Robert Harder, Chief of the Army Reserve, Rear Admiral Richard Lofgren, Acting Chief of the Navy Reserve, Lieutenant General Lonnie Anderson, Commander of the Marine Force Reserve, and Lieutenant General John P. Haley, Chief of the Air Force Reserves. This will be General Haley's final posture hearing with the subcommittee. So I want to thank him, his wife Kathy, for decades of dedicated service to our nation and the lasting impact you'll leave on the force. So gentlemen, welcome. We look forward to candid discussion about the President's budget request for fiscal year 2027. The President's intention to significantly increase overall investment in national defense is certainly good news, but the details beneath the top line will determine whether the U.S. military can train, equip, deploy, and sustain a force actually capable of deterring serious threats. The Guard and Reserve are critical to the homeland defense, security cooperation with allies and partners, and readiness to meet aggression with an overwhelming response. Obviously, ongoing operations in the Middle East offer a tragic reminder. A majority of the service members killed in action since March 1st have been members of the Guard or Reserve. And I know the subcommittee's deepest sympathies are with their comrades and their families. Of course, current conflicts also offer urgent lessons about the future of warfare. This is not just a responsibility of the active component. Secretary Driscoll observed last week that Ukraine has, quote, fundamentally altered how humans engage in conflict, and that, quote, we are learning a lot from them, end quote. I think the Secretary's observation is spot on, but the value of these lessons will hinge on our own ability to actually apply them. Our adversaries, for their part, are applying them. Iran has used lessons from Russia's war and applied them against us in the Middle East. The U.S., on the other hand, been slow to adapt. Why could that be? Well, in part because two administrations in a row have limited the number of military advisors who could visit Ukraine. It's hard to learn if you do not observe. It's also hard to deepen cooperation with Ukraine while cutting assistance at the same time. That's why Republican majorities in Congress voted both to authorize and to, more importantly, appropriate $400 million in assistance for fiscal year 26 this year. And we expect that the department will obligate and expend those funds in accordance with congressional intent. The current strategic landscape suggests that the demand for highly trained, well-equipped citizens in uniform, like the ones currently operating in CENTCOM, isn't likely to decrease anytime soon. But the Guard and Reserve's ability to perform these official missions, to answer the call, depends on your access to modern capabilities and stable funding. So I'll be curious to hear what lessons you're deriving from current conflicts and what you're doing to implement them across your commands. I was encouraged that the President's budget request includes increased funding for military personnel, operation and maintenance, and most notably the National Guard and Reserve equipment account. Congress has historically carried the water for this account, which helps to modernize the equipment available to both the Guard and the Reserve, but it is included in the base budget request actually for the first time. These are important requests of commitment, but you know better than anyone that it'll be hard to meet multi-year modernization targets without stable funding. And on that front, I've repeatedly warned the department, and even more importantly, OMB, that one-time shots of reconciliation dollars simply cannot stand in for continuing annual appropriations. So we owe it to the men and women of our armed forces to reliably provide ample funding for the common defense year after year by strong bipartisan support. With that, let me turn to Senator Coons.
Thank you so much, Chairman. And I want to thank all of our witnesses today and echo a number of the things the Chairman just said. You'll hear them in my remarks. We have worked closely and well together, as have our staff, and we agree on many of the core points that the Chairman just raised, in particular the $400 million appropriated for Ukraine and the importance of the state partnership program in connecting American Guard elements to some of the countries around the world as they sought to emerge from the Warsaw Pact or as they sought to develop a modern military. They were great partnerships. Let me also join in a special thank you to Lieutenant General Healy at his final appearance before our subcommittee. I'm sure you're relieved, but frankly, you and your family, I just wanted to thank you for your service. Your components all do an extraordinary job of balancing both civilian lives and a military career. And I think that does not get enough recognition. So let me begin by thanking all the men and women who you represent of the Guard and Reserve, who are a critical part of the full U.S. military. Many of us were reminded once again of that balance when shortly after the president launched Operation Epic Fury, components of our home state Guard and Reserve were mobilized or put on notice for deployment, as were 2 units from Delaware. While we have policy differences on this war, this was just the latest demonstration of the larger point that the Guard and Reserve are absolutely essential to our U.S. military. I join the chairman in grieving over the loss of 13 Americans so far and the hundreds who've been wounded. And not only do our prayers go to their families, but our hope for success in the peace negotiations currently underway. Today's hearing is on the Guard and Reserve's fiscal year 27 budget, and it comes in the much larger